spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scary-ish podcast.
Woo.
I'm Robin Grace, this is Adam Diaz,
Hello.
and today we're here to read you folks some homegrown horrors. Adam's going to tell us what those are.
Homegrown horrors are stories that you folks have sent us, and they can be anything that's paranormal, spiritual, spooky, stuff like that. It could be extraterrestrial or true crime in nature. Robin, for folks who would like to send us a story, how can they do so?
You can send it to us through our email, storytime@scaryish.com. You can go to our website. There's a contact us page. You can fill out that form there, and it gets to us that way. And you can reach out to us at any of our social media. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. Don't know how Twitter works really well, but I've been trying to post more lately.
I've seen that you're tweeting more from that account.
Thanks.
I will say it's our least traveled social media, but we do respond anytime anyone tweets at us or comments or any of that stuff. So however you feel like best or most comfortable sending in a story, please send it our way. That's the typical stuff we usually say. I just want to go ahead and say, you guys got stories, send them in. Seriously, we're running about a month now. We're running at about a month of backlog, so that means we're starting to catch up a little bit. We go through stints where we get a lot, and then we get not a lot, so let's go ahead and get some lots again, start sending them. And anyone who's been sitting on one like, oh, I'll send it eventually, send it now. The ones that we're actually getting are from newer listeners, which is wonderful to see. I think we have a couple of them that are in the queue for next week that are from folks who came over from Jessica Braun. So that's pretty cool to see. But this is just one more shout out to send those stories in. We have 4 that we're going to go over tonight, which should be fun. Robin, are you going to go first or am I?
Why don't you go first?
Okay, I will go first.
Are you ready? If you're not ready, then I can go first.
No, I can go first. That's fine. So let's go ahead and move into the first email of the show. And the subject is Summer Camp Scares, which sounds fun. I've only been to a couple summer camps. El Gatesman 1985, who's in the channel right now, is with me for one of them.
Really?
We all had a fashion runway where we came out in our PJs. And I'm pretty sure I had Superman PJs. I was in 4th grade.
Okay.
4th or 3rd. And I had Superman PJs on. And then El Gatesman 1985 came out, and he had Sonic the Hedgehog PJs.
So people let their kids just go to camp in 4th? You're only like 9.
Yeah, but you have like camp counselors. The whole point is to send your Rugrats away so you can pretend you don't have kids for a little while.
But that's so scary. They're only 9.
But you send them to a place with adult supervision.
But they're strangers.
No, not necessarily. A lot of people like go as chaperones, or they're friends of the family, or they're like teenagers who have been to that camp when they were younger. That's the whole idea of like camp counselors and shit like that. So
all right.
It's not like every single person's a stranger there, and if they are, then you just, you join up 2 of your 9-year-olds and you're like, get the fuck out of here, you're together, stay safe, bye.
Oh my god.
Anyways, let's get into this. Summer Camp Scares starts out like this. Hey, Robin and Adam.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
I thought you were just going to keep reading.
Nope. I've been listening through the entire run of Scary-ish at work lately and figured I'd share one of my own strange experiences. When I was about 16, I used to work at a summer camp in northern Illinois.
It was called Camp Crystal Lake, and
Wow.
everyone got brutally murdered.
If it was called Camp Tecumseh, that'd be pretty cool. At the end of every week, we played a huge game of hide-and-seek with the campers where the staff would go off and hide, and the campers got points for every one of us they can find in about 2 hours. Damn, imagine the person who's like really good at hiding and you're just out in the woods for 2 hours. One week, I made a bet with one of my coworkers that whoever was found the least number of times, or not at all, would win, and the loser would buy lunch. Being broke, I decided I had to win.
Oh my goodness.
The camp was mostly surrounded by a small pine forest with marshland to the northeastern side. I should also point out that if you followed a closed-off trail in the pines north for about a mile, you'd arrive at a small cemetery that seems to be a couple of 100 years old and has no easy access that we'd found. We avoided that area as much as possible. That's probably a smart move there. I decided that I would hide in the marsh area, which was right next to a large cleared area we normally would use for soccer and other games.
It just doesn't sound like a good idea.
I mean, it sounds like you're not going to get found. Sounds like a really good hiding spot, and if you were broke and you wanted lunch, that's exactly what you're going for.
When
here.
I hear marsh, I think that's where people drop all the dead bodies to just sink in and get lost forever.
I guess we're going to find out. The reeds along the edge of the marsh were about 3 feet high, so I brought a camp stool and sat a little ways into the marsh where I could be seen if the kids took the time to look there. The first half hour was uneventful, and the kids walked right past me. I got bored and started reading a novel I'd brought to pass the time. That's super smart. Eventually, the campers had moved on to other areas to search, and I was alone. At about the hour mark, I heard rustling in the reeds.
No.
Shit. At first, I thought maybe an adventurous camper was searching the area, but quickly realized the only accessible entrance to the area was where I'd walked in, and the sound was coming from behind me. More rustling noises started up quickly. It sounded like a pack of dogs circling me in the reeds.
Ooh, that's creepy.
I couldn't see anything. I stood up and the rustling stopped at once. I could see the paths trodden through the reeds in loose circles around where I was standing.
So there was something walking
but
around.
no path where someone or something would have come from. It was completely silent, which was strange, and there was all sorts of small wildlife like frogs and bugs that you'd normally hear all the time. I looked back at the area where the marsh turns into pine groves and noticed an opening in the huge shrubs that grew along the edge. What was normally a solid wall of dense shrubs and other growth now had a hole in it about 3 to 4 feet tall and about 3 feet wide.
What?
Almost like a door opened in the vegetation. I walked over cautiously, unsure of what was going on, and looked into the quote-unquote doorway. It was dark and cold there. Far darker and colder than it should have been for 1 p.m. in July. And it was dead silent. No bugs, no frogs, no wind, nothing.
Anytime it's just silent and there's no sound, it's just... It's
terrifying.
It's terrifying, and there just has to be something going on.
That's why I sleep with a fan on. I don't want to hear what the void has to whisper in my ear. And it's nicer when it's cold.
You just gotta tell it that you're not gonna listen to it like Elsa.
What?
Like in the song.
But she does listen to it. It's the whole plot of the movie. Anyways, I stared into the open copse for a few moments. COPSE, which stands for a grove of trees. Or stands for, represents, whatever. Spooky Mom Notes sent me that. New word. Nice stuff. For a few moments when I heard that rustling sound coming from behind me, from both sides, as if the pack of dogs were rushing me all at once. I spun around. Silence. 5 paths trodden into the reeds, stopping a few feet short of where I stood. I briefly glanced back at the doorway, then got the hell out of there, forgetting my camp stool in the muck.
Oh, yikes.
I got, quote, found by several campers on my way back to the staff break room, but I didn't care anymore. After that, I was fine paying for lunch. I avoided the marsh area and the field next to it for several days before getting curious again, and went back to take a look. The camp stool was gone, and so was the doorway, as if it had never been there in the first place. I went back to investigate multiple times during that summer, but never experienced anything like that again.
And the stool never showed up again?
Guess not. Small addition about the north path towards the cemetery. It was very easy to get lost in that area, and several staffers mentioned that they had, quote, lost time searching that part of the forest when a camper had gone missing. The kid was fine. We found him within 20 minutes, but the guys who went to check the path didn't come back for almost 3 hours, and we couldn't get them on walkie-talkies or their cell phones the whole time. They all thought they'd only been gone half an hour.
Wow.
We further blocked access to that area after that incident. Indie. INDIE. That's the name of the person who sent that in. That is fucking awesome, first of all.
Yeah.
And absolutely terrifying.
What if it is the camp that you went to?
I don't think it is.
No?
Just reading the description.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember there being a marsh or like a wide open field or area like that.
All right.
There was like a campfire, and they had shit there. Like, I've been to multiple camps too, so it's kind of hard because they kind of blend together the older you get. But yeah, that's terrifying. Having a gateway open up and having like shadow creatures stalking you and seeing the paths in the reeds where they were like actually circling you but not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard thing for kids to fake. Because, you know, the first thing I thought was like, it's kids playing a prank. You know, they found them and they decided they're going to mess with them. Kids aren't that good.
But then where would the stool go? Who took the... You know what I mean? Like,
that's like my least like curious moment of the story.
Really?
Is where did the stool go? It's where did the doorway to the other dimension go, and where did the shadow creatures go?
I'm just like, the stool never turned up again. It went somewhere.
Robin's that boss who would totally find that kid and take it out of their paycheck for not bringing back the stool. And if you told Robin the story, she'd be like, so where's the stool? Why didn't you go get the stool? That's Robin right there for you.
I'm still mind blown that people just leave their kids with strangers for weeks.
She's still stuck on that shit.
My mom wouldn't even let me go on like an overnight trip.
As soon as we have kids, like the next day, it's off to camp. And then when it comes back, it's
Boarding
off to
school.
boarding school. Exactly.
No, that's not happening. But, no, yeah, it's an interesting thing because, to me at least, the idea of camp is you're leaving your kids with people that are kids themselves, practically. They might be college age or something like that.
Counselors aren't necessarily in charge. There's always like someone who's head of the camp, and you usually like would know that person or at least have like sat down and talked to them before you decide, like, yeah, you can take my kids.
But how does that one person with all the camp counselors watch over hundreds of kids?
I mean, you delegate to teenagers who are trying to have sex with each other the entire
Oh
time.
my gosh. And then the serial killer comes and chops all their heads off.
That's like, once in a blue moon.
I think camps, when they're out in the middle of nowhere, there's bound to be something weird, because it is this place that really isn't occupied the rest of the year. It's only occupied during those select months in summer, right? That's why it's called summer camp. They don't call it fall camp or winter camp.
I wonder if they do have fall camps and winter camps. I'm sure they do. It's just different activities that you would go through.
Mayhaps. But I imagine that's it, because it's so empty most of the time. Weird things are bound to happen, and these entities are like, no one's here. Let's just chill.
These people dropped off their kids. Let's take them. Use the devil dogs in the doorway and the bushes. No big deal.
Devil dogs at the doorway.
Right on. This is a super good one to open with. Thank you so much for sending that in. Really setting the bar high for this episode. We appreciate it.
All right. So this next email here is from Noemi, and its subject is Mom's Haunted House.
Interesting.
Hi, guys. Hello. We're the guys. Not a long-time listener, but only after a few episodes. I am hooked. We're glad you're hooked.
Hooray. Stay hooked.
So here's my story. I was in high school, and my family had just moved into a new home. The home had been vacant for a few years, to the point that there were tumbleweeds everywhere. I wonder why it was empty for so long.
Yeah, tumbleweeds are usually outside. It's just weird that they made it their way inside. So
I don't think they were inside. It's just...
Oh, I thought they said they were in the home. My bad.
Anyway, my grandparents on my mom's side lived with us at that time, and moving actually worked out because the new home had 2 master bedrooms, one to be occupied by my mom and stepdad, and the other by my grandparents.
It's pretty awesome.
2 master bedroom homes are like...
I'd live in a fucking haunted house for a double master.
Yep. They are the greatest invention or design of all time. I think every house should have 2 master bedrooms, but they don't. Anyway... Everything was going fine, but a couple weeks later, my grandmother started asking why my mom would go into her room at night.
Oh, God.
And why my little brother was allowed to run around at night without any supervision. He was 2.
It's terrifying, yeah.
It got to the point where we were all questioning my grandmother's sanity and doubting what she was saying she saw. A lady coming into her room and a little boy running around. Until my grandfather started telling us that the kids were playing quote-unquote tricks on him in the bathroom. While he was washing his hands, he had his shirt and pants pulled on several occasions from behind him. A couple times, he didn't think anything of it because the door was open, so he thought they'd just run out without him seeing them, and then it started happening when the door was closed.
That's creepy.
We also started questioning my grandfather's sanity. Y'all, believe them.
It's funny to me because it's like the older you get, the more you return to, kid status when it comes to credibility, apparently. It's like, they must be crazy, instead of being like, they're young, they're stupid, they don't know what they saw. It's like, I don't know when the prime age is where you can be believed if you see something, but it must suck to be really young or, I guess, slightly older.
I was still doubtful while all this was going on until I was woken up on several occasions by severe shaking of my bed on different days.
Again, double master,
that's some
though,
poltergeist shit right there.
Double master.
I also had my shirt pulled while I was sitting on the floor against my grandparents' bed. When I looked under the bed, I expected to see one of my brothers, but there was nothing. Needless to say, I became a believer in what my grandmother and grandfather had been saying. My grandmother and I started praying every night, and eventually the activity stopped. Life went on as usual. We started getting to know our neighbors and became friendly with our oldest neighbor down the street. I must mention that we never told him what we were experiencing in the house.
He was like, so you moved into the murder house, huh? Weird.
He told us why the house we were living in was vacant and the story of the original owners. Ooh, this is just reminding me of the topic that I did today, man. All right. The father had got brain cancer and it made him crazy. Oh, man. He killed his wife and child and buried them in the backyard. Thank God we only came in contact with the woman and child. Oh, fuck. So it could have...
They're buried on the property. I guess that makes sense. I don't know what happened to him, though.
Who knows? That's scary, though. What if you just had this one angry spirit, you know?
What if it starts out with like wife and child stuff, but you always hear like stomping upstairs, and then as the activity increases, that stomping turns to like someone coming downstairs? Yeah, that's some horror movie shit right there. You're welcome.
Please feel free to share this on air. I think that this was the turning point for me to become a true believer in prayer and life after death. I have other stories from other houses I have lived in. I will share soon. Thank you so much for that story. That is
very creepy.
Definitely scary. I don't think I could handle just having these things happen in a house. I'd be like, nah, dog, we're leaving, you know? But I mean, if it took so long for them to sell that house in the first place, you know, it was vacant for so long.
How would you get out?
Right.
Here's the thing, okay? I currently live in a situation where I'm constantly being pawed at and grabbed in ways that usually annoy me.
Yeah, but I'm not a ghost.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm being trained for it because, again, it's a double master, and that's pretty sweet. As an adult, it's a big deal. Just saying. So I'd probably stay and just try and make peace with it. But as soon as the murderer ghost showed up, then I would probably be putting the house on the market. So I'd have some renos going on at that same time. But right on. Thank you so much for sending that in. We look forward to hearing your other stories. Send them in. Send them meow. Meow. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move into my next email. And this one's subject is Frank. No question mark, just Frank. Not sure who Frank is or if they're saying they're going to be Frank. But it starts out like this. Hi, guys.
Hi.
What up? We're the guys. New listener here, and I knew right away I needed to share my creepy story. Feel free to share this story. Also, if you're sending in your own story, toss that up into the subject of the first line because it makes it a lot easier for us to know that we can share it. A few years ago, I was dating my ex-boyfriend. Unlucky ex-boyfriend. His sister, unlucky for him, he doesn't get to date you anymore. I wasn't being insulting. I was like saying, yeah, take that, asshole. Anyways, his sister and mom claim to have medium powers and be able to talk with the dead. His sister especially. She did this as a profession. Well, at the end of November, we went to Michigan to visit some of my family. On the way home, my ex-boyfriend was driving, and I was in the passenger seat falling asleep. I had my eyes half open and was looking out the window when suddenly I see this white, almost translucent figure on all fours run. Oh, god damn it. I heard you snicker, and now all I can think of is I pronounced the L in salmon the other day. She just fucking let me have it. Salmon. Let's just take this sentence from the top. I had my eyes half open and was looking out the window when suddenly I saw this white, almost translucent figure on all fours run off the road and into the trees/bushes like an animal. I got so freaked out and kept quiet for a minute when I sat up and looked over at my ex. At the same time, he goes, "Did you see that too?" He mentioned he saw it running towards the car, but quickly took a turn and ran off the road. Fast forward a few weeks, his sister decided to come to my house and read my mom and sister's tarot cards and sage the house. Mind you, when I first met his sister a couple months prior, she told my ex she could feel a negative spirit attached to me, yet he decided to not tell me until after what happened next.
What?
So, I left that Sunday because I had plans, but his sister came to my house and saged it and whatnot. She gets into my mom's bedroom, and my mom hears her from downstairs and says, "Oh, there you are." She opened my mom's closet door and said a man on all fours was hissing at her and screaming at her to get out. She apparently stood there laughing at him and told him to get up. She did whatever she had to do to get rid of the spirit and came downstairs. Told my mom his name was Frank and he passed away a long time ago. He apparently had killed 4 to 5 prostitutes in his lifetime and got away with it. She also mentioned that I apparently brought him into the house with negative energy I had one day and that I was his favorite person to attach to in the house. What? He had a preference for brunettes, and at the time, I wasn't a blonde as I am now. She also mentioned that he must have followed us to Michigan, and that was who we saw on the road that night. The story seemed wild, but I know for a fact what I saw on the road that night was real. Then a smiling face with tears in its eyes. I try to keep a more positive energy now to avoid any more Franks attaching to me.
That is so creepy. Like, imagine you're just walking down the street and because you're, I don't know, annoyed or mad at something, or you're just like grumpy gills and
a sex worker murderer is like, I'm gonna attach to this person for the rest of their life.
That's awful.
I didn't realize that you were like that available to be attached to by ghosts, especially horrible ones like that.
So growing up, my mom used to say, like, when we were walking at night, when we're taking walks at night where we used to live, because we used to live in like the middle of nowhere. So as a family, we would walk, when the sun was going down. And my mom would tell us to like tuck our thumbs in our hands, because if we left them out, the spirits would like enter us. So it's just, some people believe in different things, and maybe it is that easy for spirits to just get attached. Maybe that you're doing something you don't realize you're doing. Like, we're walking around and my hands are just going to be my hands, right? But my mom's like, no, dog, tuck your thumbs in.
Tuck those thumbs in.
You don't want to break your thumb. No.
Demons.
But yeah, no. So maybe it is just that easy.
I think, okay, two things came to me when I was reading this. One is that it's probably a pretty good thing to just in general think, without the consequences of ghosts attaching to you, to try and maintain a positive mindset. It's really hard sometimes when you have bad days, and it's good, though. It's good for your mental health, and it's good for your attitude and your outlook. It's like, you don't want to ruin a day because there was one bad thing, and if you can turn yourself around, that shows that you have like a lot of control and power over your life, and that's a good thing. And two, it's kind of offensive if my girlfriend's sister met me and was like, you have a lot of negative energy around you, that's why this weirdo ghost is haunting you, it's your fault.
I'd be like, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, this is the first thing I thought. I was like, this must be why this dude's an ex, because like you met someone's sister, you left, and it's like, it's a negative spirit attached to that bitch because she's so negative. It's just, I don't know, it seemed a little bit insulting, but I think you actually took it pretty well, and you said you try and have positive energy now to avoid any more Franks attaching you, which is a great way to end it. But most importantly, this person's an ex, so it's like, maybe you got, that positive energy vibe from it, and then you moved on because it's like, also, you should have fucking told me, bro, bye.
Or I'm done with the negative energy, you can go now.
I know, and this is going to sound bad, I know that we are a paranormal podcast / true crime podcast, and you folks send us stories like that, but it's okay every now and then to spill a little tea. I want some fucking gossip. Like, this is an ex, I don't know why, and now I'm curious. I'm not going to email you back and be like, so what happened? But I am curious. So for future... There's
so many stories that we get that are just like, my ex, and it's just... It's funny. I don't know.
So thank you so much one more time for sending that in. We enjoyed it.
All right. So I'm going to get into the final story of said episode. And hopefully you folks have been enjoying it so far.
Let's hope.
This one begins. Hi. Hello. That's
hello.
Us. Hello. Hi. I mean, not that we're hi.
Hello there. Me and another coworker decided that anytime we have tickets that we have to respond to, and the ticket doesn't have a name on it, instead of saying like, hello, Robin, we'll just say, hello there. And he had someone reply General Kenobi to him, and it was fucking awesome. We were all like so excited because we're huge nerds. So anyway, sorry.
Oh my gosh. My name is Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hello.
I've been listening to y'all for a while now. My girlfriend showed me a few episodes of y'all on Spotify like a year ago, and yeah, just love it.
Shout out to you, and shout out to your girlfriend, and shout out to Spotify.
Wow. Nice shout outs.
Thank you.
Anyways, I'll start off with a story from my best friend, Jay. Now, Jay is 21 and isn't the type of person to get scared easily. He's a 6'3", big, burly transmission mechanic. Can he work on my car? Because I need someone to fix my transmission.
That's so funny. Where is this person located?
But every time he tells this tale, he gets goosebumps or chicken skin all over his body. I like that you added the different ones because we have heard that in so many different ways, like just different ways to describe your skin getting raised and the hairs getting raised on your body. So he was 12 at the time and was over at his cousin David's. David was 15 at the time. On a side note, there was a house across the street that was condemned and gave off a really creepy vibe. Like, you step on the property and get goosebumps kind of vibe. But anyway, his mom, dad, aunt, and uncle had gone out to a friend's across town. Shortly after they left, it started to rain. And I mean pour, like we're from Florida, so it's pouring. I've heard that Florida weather is very strange because out of nowhere, it will just start crazy pouring.
Right. I have heard that as well. Also, I know we don't do these much anymore, but Hoppy J over there in Twitch says, it's my boyfriend's email.
A few hours passed. Him and his cousin are watching TV. The house phone randomly rings and Jay gets up to answer it. Some guy says, you two are being watched for learning purposes, and then hangs up.
For learning purposes?
This sounds horrific, all right? The call is coming from inside the house.
Right.
At this point, him and his cousin are like, okay, that was weird, but whatever. So 10 or 15 minutes go by and they're still watching TV when they both look at one of the windows, and outside the window is a dark figure just standing there.
I was going to say just jerking it.
Ew!
It's better that it's just standing there, let's be honest.
Oh my gosh. These kids are like kids.
One of them was 15, yeah.
They're both, one's 12, one's 15. They're both kids. Okay, that's gross. Now they're like, yo dog, what the fuck is that? I don't know, but we better nope the fuck out. JK, JK. But they're now freaking out like, who the fuck is that? Then the figure disappears in moments. Now they're like, okay, make sure the house is locked and just stay in the living room. They're back on the couch together when they both freeze and look at each other at the same exact time. Now this is a creepy as fuck moment warning. So they look at each other in terror at the same time because they both hear the same exact thing. Quietly at first, but getting louder and louder. So they heard a little girl singing Ring Around the Rosie, Pocket Full of Posies, and it sounded like it was coming from the attic.
That's terrifying.
Fuck, I mean, no. Anytime you hear creepy music coming from, like, little girls, little children just singing, big ol' nope, especially when they're not supposed to be there.
My first instinct is to burn the house down. Realistically, someone could have just enlisted their little sister to go into your attic and play a prank on you, and this would result in a homicide. So probably not the best idea. Also, it would be arson, but are we really worried about burning a house down if it's haunted? I don't think so.
Picture the creepiest little girl you can think of, and that's what they're hearing, as well as a loud scratching coming from the attic. She's trying to get out, bruh. She's trying to get out of there. Oh my god. They freak out, run to the kitchen, grab knives, good move, and sit back to back on the island in the kitchen, and they're still hearing this. And they both started crying and freaking out. Back to back, knives out, Jay pulls his phone out and calls his dad, freaking out and crying. His dad could barely understand him and freaks out. Runs to his truck and hauls ass back to the house. So up until his dad gets there, the singing and scratching continues. I think he was gone. He was there in like 3 minutes or something like that. And by the time he got there, the rain was gone. He forgot the key and literally breaks down the front door to get in and finds Jay and his cousin still on the island crying, knives out, but he doesn't hear anything. They all left, and I don't think Jay went there much anymore after that and definitely wasn't left there anymore. That man still gets goosebumps and that scared look when he tells that story. I would too if I experienced that. Hell, it gives me goosebumps. Definitely gives me goosebumps too. It's just like, if I were a kid, right, and I'm just alone, there's just two of us, we're both like, what the hell is that? What? I mean, there's nothing you can do, right? Because you have no idea what to do when you're hearing this creepy sound. There's scratching, there's singing.
And it's not just that. It's that someone called the house, was standing outside and said you're being watched for observation purposes. It's like, that's so fucking creepy. I probably would have called the cops. Like, immediately just 911, like, hey, there's some creepy dude outside my house. He called my house instead of being watched for observation purposes. Please show up and help, you know? And then when they got there, it's like, there is a creepy little girl in my attic. Please go check.
Okay. This is going to be the second episode in a row where we've talked about Bly Manor, but it's like that one police officer in that show who she's told, like, I saw this guy, you need to go and check and see what's going on. Is there anything you can do? And the police officer's just like, we did a sweep. That's it.
In Bly Manor? When does that happen?
She sees the Paul or Peter or whatever his name is outside the window. Yeah. And so she calls the cops.
She sees the Invisible Man.
Yeah. He's in that too. Okay. Anyways, keep up the great work. Love this podcast and the community. We love the community too.
Thank you.
I download like 60 episodes at a time. Nice. And when I go on long underway's side, in the Navy, what is that? If you know what that is, let us know because we're very curious.
Yeah, I've never heard that phrase before. It might be a typo. But Spooky Mom thought it might actually be a nautical term, so she left it in.
But yeah, y'all help me get to sleep when we're out to sea. It has to be a nautical term or something. Oh yeah, yes, you can share this on the podcast if you want. Sorry, we already did. And sorry if my grammar or storytelling sucks. It did not suck. It was
very
really good. If y'all want, I have a few more stories. One of them is very long, but if y'all want, I'm down to share. Please share it with us. We always want your stories. And also, I know this has probably been asked before, but for a topic episode, werewolves. I know they're more supernatural than cryptid. Also, the amount of movies that are must-sees that Adam has said that Robin hasn't seen is unacceptable.
I agree.
Like Independence Day. Come on.
Welcome to Earth.
Oh my god, we still haven't seen that movie. Okay. One day, I will watch Independence Day. That day is not today.
Wow.
Anyway, have a good night or day or whatever time it is that you read this. Thank you so much, Trey, for sending that to us.
And Hoppy J, who is watching live right now, let him know right now we want the rest of his stories and to send them in to us.
They're in the chat too.
Really?
Yes.
Did not know that. That's awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sending it in. That is an excellent story to end on. And it's sincerely haunting. When you're in that age bracket where you're like a teenager and something happens, I think parents are more inclined to believe you because they don't think you're making shit up. And if you are, I don't think you would be like huddled holding knives crying. You know what I mean? So that is something that is definitely a game changer where I don't know how like I would react. But if I forgot my keys, I'd probably just kick the door into and be like, is everyone okay? So I can only imagine the fallout that came from that. But I'm interested to hear what else do you have to send us. So good stuff. Thank you so much one more time. All right, so I just want to thank everyone who sent in their emails one more time. We sincerely appreciate you sharing your story with us. Most of these are personal stories, and it does take a lot for you to send it in. I know, like, sometimes you just got to, actually do it, write it out, send it in, and then you realize, cool, that's done. And then some people procrastinate. I'm totally down with that. I do that a lot, so I totally understand. If you have a story like that, one, please send it in right now. And two, you can send it to storytime@scarish.com. That is our email address. You can also go to scarish.com. That is our website, and click on Contact Us. Fill out that form. Or if you're more of a social media person, you can hit us up on any of our social medias. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter, we have @scarishpod. And Instagram is @scarishpodcast. However you are more comfortable doing it, we would love to hear from you. Let us know if we can read your story online because we would love to do so. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/scarishpodcast, and those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1. If you want ad-free episodes, that's where you're going to get them. And it's only $1 to get ad-free. It's great. What do you got to lose, right? And then you can go to ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. Those are one-time donations. All your donations go to upgrading our studio setup and kind of keeping us going and giving us extra time to make more stuff for you. We're really trying to work on getting more time to make extra content because we really do want to make more content for our Patreon and maybe some new vlogs and stuff for YouTube.
We're going over some ideas right now. So
we still have that making of an episode video that we need to...
That was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was. It was Valentine's Day-ish,
and
so it was like starting to kick off.
We also had the Hot Wings episode. It's in the editing phase.
It's still, like in final editing. We just need to put final notes on it and get it posted. So that could come as early as this week.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. So, one more time, we sincerely appreciate literally everyone who watches, listens, supports us, tells a friend, tells a boyfriend, whatever the case may be. It's amazing that folks are actually out there and actually listening, and it means the world to us. It does, and it makes this more and more fun every time we do it. So, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. And I think that's...
and thank you to I Am Beef Trainer and I'm West Dinner for sending us wine to drink during our live stream.
Those aren't their actual names, unless they are.
No, it's not.
But we sincerely appreciate any gifts we receive. It's so cool going to this P.O. box and seeing stuff come in or having stuff delivered. It's like, wow, people actually want to send us stuff so we can experience stuff together. This wine's fantastic. Thank you so much. So we're going to finish it off. And to do so, we're going to have to end the episode. So, Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.